Yo, I had to do a part two, man. Piece of the gods, piece of the earth, piece of the babies of the universe. So, jump right in it, man. I only got so many minutes on this phone because I got an Android. But anyway, so growing up, when I became a 5%er, I was going to ISU 24 in Brooklyn. It's called something else now, but it was called ISU 24. Um, I ain't gonna even front though, like growing up in Brooklyn in the '70s was hard, was bad, man. Cause like niggas used to goddamn, I mean, rob you like real shit, like rob you. You heard the stories of how these niggas back in the day, like you listen to back in the day stories. You know how these niggas used to rob motherfuckers, like niggas used to rob you. They take your coat, your sneakers, your chains. Like at the time when I was growing up, jewelry wasn't as thick as jewelry got thick like in the '80s. That's when niggas got thick with their jewelry. But in the '70s, niggas was just wearing coats, like quarter-field coats, sheep coats, sneakers, Converse sneakers. Adidas wasn't even rocking like that. It was like the Dr. J sneakers. Like like anything that was popular back in the '70s, niggas was robbing you and taking them shit from you. So it was bad for me because I was like the only child. Like I was the only child. I was the only boy that my mom had. I had two sisters, and my cousin lived on St. James. My cousin lived on St. James, which is like right up the block from where I lived on Gates. So it was like I lived on Gates and Lewis. So so I used to no pardon me. He lived on Van Buren. I'm sorry, pardon me. He lived on Van Buren, but it was a little walk. It was a little walk to my cousin's house, but I used to go to my cousin's house all the time. And back then, that's when the DJs would bring the crates out and DJ in the park. And my cousin was one of the dudes that did that shit, and he was real popular in Brooklyn. So I used to go to my cousin all the time. Whenever something happened to me, I'd go to my cousin. And at the time, Rich probably was like 14, 15. And I used to go to Rich and shit and be like, yo, man, that happened. Rich would come on the block and fuck niggas up. So that's what happened with me. So I became a god because my cousin was a god. My cousin said, yo, he introduced me to the nation, to the 5%ers. And that's how I became a god. And then I got an enlightened. Well, Rich wasn't Richard wasn't really my enlightener, but Richard gave me the name Father Divine. But then after that, I got an enlightener, Star Kim, Puerto Rican cat on Brooklyn and on Gates Avenue. So trying to speed this up. And then what happened was back. But so the thing, I said all this to get to this. Back then, the guys would fuck you up if you didn't know your lessons, man. Like they would fuck you up. Like I remember not knowing my lessons. They'll catch me in the hallway. Yo, God, what's the day's mathematics? Boom, 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 boom. Fuck you up. I mean, I come home bloody and shit. Mother be like, what happened to you? I be like, yo, shit, I got into a fight. Word, boom, boom, boom. You know what I'm saying? Word is born, bro. Like they will fuck you up. Like that shit was crucial. But it was a unity with the gods. Like you fuck with a god though. Now this was in the '70s. This was before the crack shit hit. When the crack shit hit, I mean, the gods just went everywhere. Like the shit just got stupid when the crack shit hit. But before the crack shit, in the '70s, from '75 to like '80, man, this shit was stupid. Gods was unified, bro. You told me, like in all gangs, and all the gang members became gods, and that was the best part of this shit. All the gang members became gods, man. Like, okay, in Brooklyn, it was a gang called the Jolly Stompers, and it was a gang called the Outlaws, and it was a gang called the Tomahawks, and it was a gang called the Disciples. Like, yo, they all became gods. Now, how the brim, the gods, if you look at old pictures of the gods with the brims, let me tell you how that started. The brim started when the gods came out of gangs. The Outlaws was a gang in Brooklyn. They all wore the Godfather hats. All of the outlaws, that was their signature. The Tomahawks wore the headband, like how the Bloods and Crips do now. The Tomahawks and the Jolly Stompers, they wore the headbands, the handkerchiefs. Whether it was red or whether it was blue. That was their signature. That's how the outlaws became gods. So that's how they start rocking the fucking Godfather hats. That is how the Godfather hats got popular with the gods. So back in the '70s, how you could tell a person was a god, he had the Godfather hat on. And back then, man, it was discipline, it was respect. And man, I remember like making that trip to Mecca, man, which was Manhattan to the 5%er home. to the Mecca, to where the 5% station at in Harlem. I remember making that train trip, man, with the guards, man, and it was like a big thing because guards all over, like guards all over would come, bro, and we would come there, bro, and we'd be like, yo, and we would come and it's like guards everywhere, yo, like I swear to God. But I'm talking about I'm living in the city of New York, but it looked like guards from Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, Staten Island, Long Island, everybody coming. This shit was like love, man. Guards in the earth, and they would just sit there and build. And I was a little baby, and I was looking like, boom. So there's a lot of guards right now that's older that probably I've seen, but be like, yo, I remember him, or he would say his name, but I remember. But I remember one guard. When I asked one guy, y'all might know him if y'all follow me and listen to this. Y'all might know him. Y'all from Brooklyn. Y'all old, like older like me. It was his brother named Born Supreme. He had a bunch of brothers, man, and me and him was cool. But yeah, he had a bunch of brothers, man. He had a bunch of brothers. This nigga had about 10 brothers and shit, man. He was real popular. His name was Born Supreme, man. Like me and him was kind of cool. We got cool, but then I moved to Harlem. I moved to Harlem when I turned 18. When I turned 18, I moved to Harlem, and I started living in Harlem on 144th Street. And then I moved to Georgia, you know what I'm saying? But then I was back and forth. But yeah, man, that was my story about the 5%ers, man. The reason why I brought that up, man. And I just want to say peace, man. Peace.